It all started on what should have been a normal Saturday morning. I was just stepping out to mow the lawn when I noticed something was off. My wife's convertible, her pride and joy, wasn't in the driveway. At first, I thought she'd taken it out for a quick run, but a quick call confirmed she was still inside, sipping coffee in her pajamas. That's when the sinking feeling hit. The car was gone, and we had no idea who took it. We live in one of those neighborhoods run by a strict HOA, fancy houses, manicured lawns, and the kind of rules that make you wonder if you own your own home. It's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, or at least pretends to. So when we checked our doorbell camera and saw the footage, we were shocked. It was our neighbor's teenage son, 15, maybe 16, sneaking around like he was in some kind of spy movie. Moments later, he jumps into my wife's unlocked convertible, hotwires it like he's done it before, and speeds off like he owns the world. We were stunned, angry, confused, but it didn't end there, not even close. A couple hours later, we get a call from the local police. The convertible had been found, crashed into a tree at the edge of the neighborhood park. The kid was mostly okay, thank God, but the car, totaled. And just when we thought it couldn't get worse, his parents, well-connected HOA board members, showed up, not to apologize, but to accuse us of negligence. A week later, was served legal papers. This spoiled teen's family is suing us. Yes, you heard that right. They are suing us. And that's just the beginning. What started as a shocking betrayal by a neighbor turned into a full-blown legal nightmare that shook our entire neighborhood. You won't believe how far this family went to protect their son, and how the truth slowly unraveled, one lie at a time. Stick around, because you're not going to want to miss what happened next. The lawsuit was just the beginning of the chaos. As if having our cars stolen and destroyed wasn't enough, now we were being blamed for it. According to the papers, the teens' parents were claiming we failed to secure our property and that it somehow led to their son's emotional distress. My wife and I couldn't believe what we were reading. It felt like we had stepped into some upside-down version of reality, where the victim ends up on trial. We started asking around the neighborhood, trying to piece together how this kid even knew how to drive, let alone steal a car. That's when the stories started pouring in. Apparently, this wasn't the first time he'd gotten into trouble. There were rumors, unconfirmed of course, that he'd taken his dad's SUV on joyrides late at night. A few neighbors even recalled hearing screeching tires and loud music around 2 or 3 a.m., but no one ever wanted to stir the pot with the HOA board. His parents always managed to smooth things over, whether it was with a quiet warning or a generous donation to the community fund. But this time was different. Our car was gone, wrecked, and they were dragging us through the mud like we were criminals. Every day, my wife would break down over how they twisted the story. It wasn't just about the car anymore. It felt personal, like they were using their status to bully us into silence. The kid, he never apologized. In fact, the few times we saw him afterward, he didn't even make eye contact. Just strutted around like nothing happened, his parents always close behind, giving cold stares like we were the troublemakers. We thought the HOA would step in, or at least offer some support, but they stayed eerily quiet. Too quiet. It was like the whole neighborhood had turned into a stage, and we were the show everyone was quietly watching. No one wanted to speak up, but the tension was thick. And then, just as we were starting to think it couldn't get worse, something even more unexpected happened. Something that made us question just how deep this mess really went. The days after the lawsuit hit us were a blur of stress, phone calls, and uncomfortable stares from neighbors. Everyone suddenly had an opinion, but no one wanted to say it out loud. The whispers at the mailbox, the awkward glances during HOA meetings, it all started piling up. We could feel the weight of judgment, even though we were the ones who'd been wronged. What made things worse was realizing just how cozy the teens' parents were with most of the HOA board. Barbecues, golf outings, even vacation photos popped up on social media. It all started to make sense. Why nobody was speaking up, why the blame was getting flipped. Meanwhile, the insurance company gave us more bad news. Because the car was technically unsecured and borrowed, they were hesitant to cover the damages. It felt like we were stuck in a legal grey area where the truth didn't matter, only technicalities did. And every time we tried to explain our side, it felt like the walls closed in tighter. The family's lawyer kept sending letters filled with legal jargon meant to intimidate us. They wanted a settlement, and they were counting on us folding under pressure. But here's where it got stranger. One night, I got an anonymous note taped to our front door. No name, no handwriting I recognized. Just one sentence scribbled in shaky ink. Check the clubhouse cameras from last Friday. That was the night before the car was stolen. My heart raced. Our HOA clubhouse did have security cameras, but access was limited. Only a few board members had the login, including the teen's mom. It took some digging, but with a little help from a sympathetic neighbor, one who wasn't afraid of the board, we got a blurry copy of the footage, and there he was. The kid, sneaking around the parking lot with what looked like a set of tools. Not just wandering, not just being a curious teen. This was calculated. He wasn't alone either. Another figure stood off to the side, hidden mostly in shadow, but something about their posture felt familiar. That's when we started to realize there might be more to this than just a spoiled teen acting out. After watching that grainy clubhouse footage over and over, something about that second person in the shadows kept bothering me. I couldn't make out their face, but their body language, the way they moved, it felt too familiar. My gut told me this wasn't just some random accomplice. This was someone close. Someone who knew our routines. That's when I remembered the HOA maintenance guy, Rick. He was always hanging around, always chatty. Too chatty sometimes. He'd helped us install our garage keypad last month. At the time, it seemed like a favor. But now, knowing someone had hotwired our car with no signs of forced entry, the dots were starting to connect. We tried to approach Rick casually, asking if he knew anything about the cameras. He froze for just a second, just long enough for us to notice. Then he brushed it off, acted like he had no idea what we were talking about, and walked off fast. That's when my wife noticed something else. On the day the convertible was stolen, Rick had been working near our house. We checked our own security footage again. Sure enough, a figure in a reflective vest walked past the convertible at least twice that afternoon. Meanwhile, the teen's parents kept turning up the heat. More legal threats, more accusations. They even started telling neighbors we were harassing their son, trying to flip the narrative completely. And the worst part, some people were starting to believe them. That's when the board called for a special HOA meeting, which was just a polite way of saying they wanted to publicly shame us. We knew they were going to try and paint us as unstable, irresponsible, even dangerous. My wife was shaking the night before. We felt totally alone. But then something unexpected happened. Right before the meeting, we got another anonymous tip. This time, a flash drive slipped under our door. On it was something that made my stomach drop. A recording, not video, audio, and the voices on it. Let's just say they were very familiar. One of them belonged to the teen's dad. What he said changed everything. And it was the moment we realized we weren't just fighting a spoiled kid anymore. We were up against something much bigger. I sat there, staring at the flash drive like it might explode. My wife urged me to play it, her hands gripping the edge of the table. I plugged it into my laptop and hit play. At first, all we could hear was the hum of an engine, faint wind, maybe someone walking. Then came the voices, low, but clear enough to recognize. One was definitely the teen's dad. The other, Rick, our friendly neighborhood maintenance guy. The conversation was short, but what we heard changed everything. Teen's dad, you sure the cameras didn't catch anything? Rick, yeah, I looped the feed, covered his tracks, but you owe me. This kind of favor ain't cheap. Teen's dad, keep your mouth shut and you'll get your cut. And make sure the garage keypad malfunctions next week. They need to look careless. The recording stopped, and we both just sat there, stunned. They'd planned it. It wasn't just a kid being reckless. It was deliberate, orchestrated, and they were trying to make us look negligent on purpose. This wasn't just about protecting their son anymore. It was a full-blown setup. We weren't just fighting a spoiled teen and his overbearing parents. We were dealing with a cover-up. We debated going to the police right then and there, but the audio alone might not be enough. We needed more. And we needed to be smart, because now we knew they were willing to lie, manipulate evidence, and even pull strings within the HOA. Every move we made from this point forward could be used against us. One wrong step, and they'd twist it into more proof that we were unstable or retaliating. That night, someone knocked on our door. Slow, deliberate. I looked through the peephole. No one was there, but on the porch was a plain white envelope. Inside, a blurry still frame from the clubhouse footage. This time, the second figure in the shadows was circled and labeled. It wasn't Rick. It was the HOA president's son. That's when it all started clicking together. This wasn't just a family trying to cover for their kid. This was an inner circle using their influence to protect each other. And we had just uncovered something way bigger than a stolen car. With the envelope in our hands and the HOA president's son now linked to the break-in, we realized we were sitting on something way bigger than we thought. The stolen convertible was just the tip of the iceberg. There was an entire web of people, neighbors, board members, even employees, working together to protect their own. My wife and I had a choice. Either stay quiet and hope it all faded, or blow the lid off everything and risk whatever came with it. We chose to fight back. The next day, we compiled everything: our doorbell footage, the clubhouse clip, the flash drive audio, and now the still image with the HOA president's son clearly in the frame. We took it to a lawyer who didn't flinch once during the meeting. He said we had a strong case, not just to defend ourselves, but to press charges. That night, he contacted a local investigative reporter he trusted. By the weekend, our story was everywhere. HOA scandal, teen steals car, parents sue victim, cover-up exposed. That's when things moved fast. The lawsuit against us dropped within hours. The teen's family stopped returning calls. The HOA board called an emergency meeting, not to shame us this time, but to do damage control. Rick was fired. The HOA president stepped down. The neighborhood that had once gone silent finally spoke up. Turns out, we weren't the only ones they'd tried to manipulate. Others had stories too. Threats, cover-ups, hush-hush deals. It all came spilling out once the truth was in the open. And just when we thought we could finally breathe, we got one last knock at the door. This time it wasn't anonymous. It was the reporter. She handed me a file. Inside were bank statements, payments made from the HOA's Community Improvement Fund to a private security contractor. Months before the car theft, one of the names listed on the payment account, Rick. Another, the HOA president's son. It wasn't just a one-time cover-up. They'd been funneling money, using HOA funds for personal favors, maybe even more. The car theft wasn't a random act. It was part of something much darker. And suddenly, our story wasn't over. It was just the beginning of something even bigger than we imagined. After the reporter uncovered the financial trail, everything unraveled. A formal investigation was launched into the HOA's misuse of funds. Turns out, several members had been quietly siphoning money for years, covering it up with fake invoices and bogus projects. Rick wasn't just a maintenance guy, he was their go-to fixer, handling all the dirty work behind the scenes. And the stolen convertible. That was meant to be a distraction, a staged incident to draw attention away from a larger audit that was about to happen. The teen who stole our car was eventually sent to a juvenile diversion program. No jail time, but he was removed from his leadership family's shadow and finally held accountable. His parents, they lost their board positions and faced civil penalties. The HOA had to restructure from the ground up. A new board was elected, one with real transparency and community oversight. For the first time in a long while, people actually felt like they had a voice. Our insurance claim was finally approved, and my wife got her convertible replaced, though she still glances out the window twice before going to bed. As for us, the experience taught us a lot more than we expected. It wasn't just about a car or a lawsuit. It was about standing up when the easy thing to do would have been to stay quiet. It was about neighbors finally speaking up, even when it was uncomfortable. In the end, we didn't just get justice, we helped clean out something toxic that had been festering in our community for years. So if you ever find yourself being pushed around by people in power, remember this: even when the odds are stacked, the truth has a way of rising. And sometimes, a stolen car is what it takes to uncover it.